Greetings. It's November 1st. Definitely we're into fall, and it is time to start planting sweet onions. The whole thing starts right here in the nursery. I've got the little 6-packs. You will see other videos I've done previously about planting the seeds in these 6-packs and how to get them to come up. But believe me when I say we planted these seeds a while back. They have gotten to the size where we can handle them, and so now it's time to get out in the field and get these guys in the ground. So here we are out in the vegetable garden. Directly in front of the camera you'll see a nice clean row. Originally this had been hayfield. The hayfield was killed by using industrial weed block over the top. The weed block was removed. Then we planted mustard into the straw of the field to be able to try to drive out some nematodes. That was followed with a crop of sweet corn that was mixed with snap beans and annual alfalfa. After the sweet corn was harvested, then I went in and I planted soybeans mixed with annual alfalfa and perennial peanuts to again fix nitrogen. Soybeans are a crop though, and so we'll turn them into tofu or something. And so then when the soybeans were harvested off out of this area, I left the roots of the plants in place and only clipped the tops off because the roots contained the nitrogen-fixing bacteria, rhizobia, and there were nitrogen-bearing nodules on the roots. And so we're going to let them rot into the ground for nutrients here. Next, I pulled out the weeds by hand, mostly, a little bit turn it with a shovel. Then I went in and I spread a layer of composted chicken manure over the top of the earth and then covered that with a layer of compost. The next thing we're going to do is mark out rows to stick the onions in. Onions can be planted closely. Looking at this, I'm judging I can get 3 rows of onions side by side in here. So I'm going to mark out 3 rows with my little seeding hoe here. The next step will be to select our onion plants. So I'm going to start off with an onion from the University of Hawaii. It's a classic cooking storage type, this one. It's a bulbing onion, but it's not a sweet onion. It's called awahai. And so I think that's how it's pronounced anyway. So we're going to give this one a try. This is a brand new onion for me. I've never grown it before. The first thing we want to do is to knock the onions out of the cell. So we turn the 6-pack upside down like that. There we have the onions are out of the cell. The next thing we want to do is shake off the earth and separate the plants. You can do this without creating too much damage, but if you prune the onion roots, that's no big thing. They take that. In fact, if they're too stringy, prune them. There we go. And out of one single cell, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9 onion plants in one cell of a 6-pack. Well, there you have the first 6-pack. Now I'm going to start on number 2. So, again, squeeze these guys out of here. Knock them out of the 6-pack. Shake the dirt off the bottom. Like that. Now, place them. like throwing darts. Now, in planting onions, the important part is that you don't bury the growing tip in here. All right, so you can plant this thing anywhere from right there to right about there. I usually plant them, say, right about here, because that gives good support so the thing will stand up nice and so on. It is possible to trim the roots if the roots are too long and messy, or if the plants have been bundled and dried out. Go ahead and trim them. Onion roots will regenerate like crazy, so there's no problem there. You don't want these plants sitting around and getting all dry and nasty, all right? That's not good for them. You want to transplant nice, fresh little onion plants, but a little drying and a little clipping the tops, clipping the bottom if they've been healed in a bin and you bought them from a nursery is just fine. Won't hurt a thing. I enjoy throwing the onions at the row like a dart, you know, and lining them all up, but actually it's easier if you stick them in one at a time like this, using your hands to close the hole after the fact. Probably, at least that way. It's conservation of motion, but it's so much more fun to just throw the plants at the row in front of the camera. I'm sticking them in about knuckles apart, okay, roughly knuckles of my hand as a measurement here. That's plenty enough room for an onion to bulb up. You can actually put them in closer than that if you intend to pull half of them out to use them as green onions. So that can be done too. Onions respond very well to rather tight spacing. Well, there's half of the row planted. I've used a cooking onion from the University of Hawaii. Now I'm going to plant the second half of the rows over here using what we refer to as a Maui onion here in Hawaii. It is a Granix hybrid onion, very sweet, low sulfur onion. The sweet onion is known here locally as Maui. It's a Granix hybrid, actually. And it's the same onion, pretty much, at least, close to what they call a Vidalia onion or a Texas sweet. These are hybrid onion plants, and because of that, they're pretty big. These really put some size up. A little bigger than the other ones, which were open pollinated. Well, there you have it. Half cooking onions, half Maui sweet onions. I got about 6 foot of row left out here, so I guess I'm going to stick in a little bit of endive and cabbage. Finish this up. I have more crops of onions coming on that will go in a little later, but we'll find another spot for those. We've got more soybeans over here to harvest, so we got lots of room for this project. Ain't nothing like having a fresh sweet onion up out of the garden, I tell you. Anyway, happy gardening, aloha, y'all hang loose and plant more onions.